you enjoy what we do. And when I get through, then I will turn it back over, and y'all do what you need to do. Thank you.
The hardest part's getting up and down.
Hey, how's everybody doing? Good to see all y'all. I just wanted to make an announcement. We're going to have an open podium for anyone who wants to share a story or a memory or something, you know, any kind of tribute. And I've been trying to think of, you know, a story to tell about Tom. He was quite an unusual person. I think I'll never meet anyone like him before. I'll never forget this one time, about a year ago, we were getting costumes together for the FBJ reunion show, and we would have to go to thrift stores and Kmart and stuff and buy unusual articles of clothing for Tom for his different characters.
Like sheep?
Yeah. You know, props, stuff like that. There was, you know, it was crazy. But I'll never forget this one time in a thrift store. We needed a new outfit for Sarah Smith, his Germantown housewife character he did. And, you know, trying to find women's shoes that'll fit a man is very hard. So we're just checking out the thrift stores, and we're in there. And Tom was never a guy to waste any time or anything, so this was something he figured we could go stop off and do in the middle of cutting grass. So here me and Tom are in our cutoffs, just dirty with grass stains, in the DAV on summer trying on women's shoes. And one of the ladies that worked there kind of approached us. Typical Nutbush grandmother, you know. Just walks up to us and just starts staring at me. Tom doesn't even notice her. He's just continuing trying on shoes. And I'll just never forget trying to explain this. We're in a band. You know, we're just, you know, shopping for props, costumes, you know, it's theater kind of thing, you know. Just kept staring at me, you know. I'm trying to explain this. Finally, I get frustrated, and I'm just like, just stop looking at me like that. Do you have these in a size 12? So, Tom Smith, I'll never forget you. You're the most memorable man ever.
Amen.
And just all the laughs we shared and the crazy times we went through, I'll never forget them. Thank you for letting me know you. If anyone else would like to share a story, please, everyone who wants to. Thank you.
My name's Mick. I've known Tom about 20 years. First time I met Tom was I was in a band called Voodoo Village People. There's Tom and Sylvia. And Tom was dancing with every girl in the bar, one at a time, not all together.
But he had something.
He had something going on. He had some mojo. So the funny thing that caught my attention was Tom doing his splits. And Tom didn't do a James Brown split. I'll give you an example of a Tom split. So that caught my eye. And I said, ladies and gentlemen, we have Denny Terrio in the house. And Tom didn't like that too much. So he gave me the double bird. And I won't tell you exactly what he said, but it wasn't nice. So I thought, well, I've made a friend for life here. And it turns out I did make a true friend for life, because me and Tom were buddies for 20 years. He made me laugh every day, smile every day. Not just, he was funny when he trying to be funny, but he is also funny just being Tom. Okay, I'll share another butt jam story with you. We're going on a road trip, and we always send Tom, because he had the truck with the trailer hitch, to get the U-Haul. So we call the U-Haul place, set it up, give Tom the money. He goes to get the U-Haul. We have all our equipment on the porch waiting for him to come back. He pulls up, no U-Haul. We're like, oh no, what happened? What could have happened? What could have possibly went wrong? So he parks the car and we say, Tom, where's the U-Haul? oh, damn! Throws it in reverse, takes off out of the driveway. What he's done, he's gone to the U-Haul place, gave the guy the money, he said, I want a U-Haul, and bailed. So that was just a typical Tom thing. He was a funny guy, and he made many people laugh. And anybody who ever knew him, he would always make you smile. If you went to the bar or anywhere and you saw Tom, you knew you were going to have a good time, because Tom would make sure everyone had a good time. Future friend, you couldn't have a better friend in the world. He'd get the shirt off his back. He'd go out of his way to make you feel comfortable in his house. There should be more people like Tom Smith in the world. So I'd just like to thank Tom for letting me be his friend and keep me entertained for 20 years.
It's hard to believe you, that's that cute.
It'll fit in a little bit. I hadn't really thought this through, but my name's Deanna, and I was dancing with Tom when Mick made that comment. And I remember going and having a little talk with Mick about it, because I was like, he's a friend of mine and everything, and so I'm really glad it ended up being a lifelong friendship with him. And I'm really going to miss him a whole lot. I've known him since the early 80s, and I just wanted to, one thing that I wanted to tell y'all is right after Tom passed over to the other side, I accidentally, while I was at the vet, came across a little kitten that was going to be euthanized, and it wasn't planned out, but it was just a few days afterwards. And this little kitten, I was there with a dog, taking one of my pets to the vet. This little kitten had its back legs were deformed. It was like 3 weeks old, and the back legs looked like the little kitten was doing the splits all the time. And my brother had suggested maybe naming him after a ballet dancer or an ice skater, and then I got to thinking, you know, the only person that came to my mind that I knew that could do the splits was Tom, and that's what his name is. So I've got a little cool cat, Tom, right now, that every time I think of him, I mean, I'm serious, and he's the most adorable. He reminds me so much of him. He's so scrappy and funny, and he cries like a baby. I mean, Tom didn't do that, but Tom was the kind of person that would speak his mind. He didn't have any fear to say anything that he wanted to say. He was an incredible person to talk to about life in general, and I'm sure that he is enjoying so much us thinking and talking about him and sending love his way right now. And I'd like to meet some of the people here that I've never met before that knew him before I knew him, so hopefully we'll have time to talk, because he was just such a beautiful person in my life. I loved him very much. Thank you.
I moved to Memphis 1990, and used to hang out at Rascals, which was the den of iniquity where everybody went and just, that was my introduction to the city and the musicians and everybody else. And Tom was a figure there, you know. I mean, once we all got together, you know, the same people all the time, so you just kind of like hung out everywhere. And this is after, I guess, Mick was doing some stuff, put some videos together, and we went over to Tom's house one night. And the night turned into the morning and everything else, and nobody was leaving. We couldn't go home. And Mick was playing videos of compilation tape that he had for the stage show, and the sun was coming up through the blinds, and Tom's preaching, you know, and just doing his thing, and you know, groovy man, yeah, bro, you know, just keep on going, just keep talking. Mick's egging him on and all this stuff, and all of a sudden, I'm across from the table, and I look at the video screen, and I look at Tom. I look back at the video screen, I look at Tom, I realize he has the same shirt on, the same pair of shorts, the sun's coming in through the same window, and he's still preaching the same thing. Yeah, so at that point I was like, how many times has this happened? And I think this might be my first and last time to experience this one. I had to have him change a little bit, you know, change places to go. It's kind of spun me a little bit, but Tom was a rare individual, man, and he's going to be, you know, surely missed, not sorely missed, but surely missed. And I know every day I think about him, and you know, just from his passing on, you know, it's just kept running back in our mind all the times, and the good times and the crazy times we've had, you know. And I told Frank this together. He always, no matter who he came in contact with, made him laugh, made him smile. You know, it's not many times you meet people like that. So I'm glad that he was a friend of mine, and glad to share some time with him. And all of you.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
there's many faces to all of us, and Tom Smith sure had a lot of faces. And I'm speaking for two particular groups of people over here that are so thrilled to be in the same room with those of you who have experienced a part of Tom that we didn't get to experience quite so much. And that's the Caring Center, Reiki people, and the Edgar Casey Search for God study group, of which Tom was an active, regular religious attendee at all of our work, not just our events, but he was there every week seeking this other side of life that was not on stage, but truly on the stage he's on right now, I know. And we just really want to thank you for doing this and tell you hello, and hello, Tom. You will always be here with us. Thank you.
All I can say is, who knew? Who knew? None of us who have been working with and being a part of Tom's life for myself, for 14 years, doing sessions with him every week, energy sessions. And he would pop down on the table. When I first met Tom, the first time he got on the table, he kept his eyes open. He talked non-stop. And I said, Lord, what am I doing now? And then he popped up off of the table after 2 minutes and said, thank you very much, doll. Gave me one of those grandmother pats, and out the door he went. But every week, Tom was there. Not only at First Unity, but when we was at Prescott, before that, when we was at Congo, he joined down at the Open Heart Center. And we all knew him. We all knew him. And I guess besides myself, anybody else been working with him for 12 years, just Deb, almost Julie, knows this, is that we saw an individual who could not stay on a table 2 minutes, could not close his eyes, could not stop talking to someone who a week before he made his transition could take a 20-minute session, close his eyes, and receive. But then he would always pop off that table. And he would I asked them, I said, did he ever call you all doll? And they said, no. But he would he said, thank you very much, doll. And out the door he went. He was such a joy. Such a joy. To see someone who was that committed to his own personal spiritual growth and transformation. I had a clue, and I'll wrap this up, I had a clue that there must be another side, because about a year ago he gave me a business card that said coolcat.com or something like that. And I said, Tom, is there another side of you that I don't know about? And he said, oh, you don't want to hear about that. Just remember to do some long distance work with me. Thank you.
My name is Rachel, and I'm from that other side of Tom as well. And what I want to, when someone said he was funny without meaning to be, he would come down to Open Heart, and we're down on Broad Street, and we would know Tom was there because the door would open and you hear loud, bam! We'd all go, Tom's here. Exact same thing. Tom would come in with a book, and if it wasn't time for him, he was in another room, always reading, always studying, always thinking. And so when he died, Tracy and I were talking, because we had just talked to him Thursday night, and we were having this long talk with him at the end. And of course, you know, as Tom's way, he's talking, but he's also, you know, leaving. And what Tracy and I said was, I said, Tracy, I can still hear his voice because it's so distinctive, that gravelly pitch to it. And the other thing that Tracy and I said, and he was funny without meaning to be, we will never hear that truck alarm go off. It would go off every single time. And he'd be laying on the table, and you'd hear that thing just blaring. And he'd have to get up and turn it off and come back. So we will miss Tom. And as Mona said, Tom came every single Thursday. If he didn't come, there was something going on with the ARE. There was a birthday party or something. Tom was always there. But Tom was always there early because Tom wanted to be there, just as you said, and then get the heck out and go wherever else it was he was going. We will miss you, Tom. We love you. I still think about you every day. You were only in my life for a year, but I felt like I knew you for much longer. Thank you.
I'm Alice Miller, and I probably met Tom about 15 years ago. Of course, I'd seen him dancing around town different times, but and probably got danced with far enough back that he would dance with a lot of people. But anyway, I was working at a health fair at the fairgrounds, and I was really into the magnetic products. I do massage therapy, and thanks to Eleanor, who taught me, I apprenticed under her many years ago. And anyway, so from that time period, then Tom and I got to know each other, and he came to see me every week for almost 14, 15 years, you know. And it was, both of us saw when we saw these pictures with him half dressed, that we saw him more naked than we were more familiar with that part of Tom, you know, as any. But Tom was so unusual, true beatnik, true person from the past. And his poetry, you know, I hope if you haven't heard it that, I don't know if it's online, somebody can hear that his poetry is quite deep and really worth listening to that side, you know, and the musical thing too is just, of course, very diversified, but you need to hear his poems. But I know week after week we eventually had a regular date on Friday night where he would come to me later in the last year from 9 o'clock to 9:30, and I started teaching elementary school back 10 years ago. So I tried to urge him towards another night, Saturday night, but I think that's when he got more partying done. So it's like he wanted to come Friday night, 9:30 or 9 o'clock. And so we would, many a story in philosophy, politics, well, I both love the Beatles, just so many things, and so many things that heard more than one time. I would remind him, yeah, Tom, we talked about that 2 weeks ago, yeah, you know. But it's just such an unusual that it's just, I just can't believe how much you think about. I mean, I think about friends of mine that I don't see once a week, you know, good friends of mine. And, you know, I pass them grass growing in my yard, you know, sometimes we barter, and I'm thinking about them all the time, you know, different times. The phone ringing, you know, it's really deep thing. But I know numerous times over the last 15 years, too, he would come with the Buddhist Center, the SGI Buddhist, he'd come over and he'd chant. We chant Nam-myoho Renge-kyo and did it like a month ago for a long time. And anyway, those are just so many instances. So I know we have to say, you know, groovy man, Tom, you know.
Well, I'm Eleanor Crenshaw, and I was Tom's roffer here locally. And so he would come to me for the last 14 years. And he would stay very still on my table for an hour and a half. Wow. And except when we would hit some certain spots, and then he would let me have it. He would just go off, you know, but it was like Tom really wasn't there. It was like he had kind of gone off to another place, and another part of his being was like telling me off. But one of the things I just loved about him was his mind. He had the most fascinating mind, and he was so well read. I loved talking with him, and we had many, many conversations about any and everything. And he invited me to come, but I just, you know, I have a whole different kind of life, and I used to have a real party life, but I kind of changed over, and I just don't have time to do everything. But it's so great to be here tonight and to be with all of y'all and just realize how many lives he touched. And he touched my life very deeply. And the story I want to share about him is a sentimental story for me. And that's and we would email back and forth too, and we'd have our different opinions about things. But my email got hacked into last year. You know how that happens, and I was supposed to be in London, stranded, and needed $2,500. You know how that scam goes. And so Tom was ready to send me $2,500. And he got me, though, on the phone a few days after that, and I was like, oh, no, Tom, that's a scam. Don't do that. Well, I just want you to know I was going to send you $2,500. And I just thought, my gosh, he's a client. He's been a client for 14 years, but how many people would do that? And when that happened to me, it was very interesting because I heard from people I hadn't heard from in about 10 years, and the different responses was very interesting. But I know that Tom is in his light body, and he is very, very happy that we're all here tonight to share about him, and I will always remember him in my heart.
I just wanted to mention real quick that me and Frank are going to try to keep Tom's website up. It's thecoolcat.net, so you can go and enjoy his poems. And also, you give the Rothing, is that what the Rothing? I remember one time I was over at Tom's, and I couldn't help but notice a pair of underwear hanging on his doorknob, on his front doorknob. And I'm like, Tom, why is there a pair of underwear on your front doorknob? He goes, oh, I got a Rothing tomorrow, and I want to make sure I wear underwear. So that's Tom. That's the Tom I know and love. And I know y'all got more stories, so I expect everyone to get up. There's no way you could know Tom for 10 minutes and not have a Tom story. So don't be shy. Get up here and share a Tom story. This is what this is about.
Yeah, I just remembered what Tom did for a living. He ran a lawn care service, and Smith's Lawn Care, which Frank is. I just talked to Frank. He's going to take that over now and keep that going as well, which I think was pretty unique. And what it was, you could call Tom and set up an appointment, and any one of the characters that he portrayed on stage, he would come and mow your lawn, dressed as Elvis, Rico Suave, Calvin Bradmother, Ralph Redneck, it didn't matter. Sarah, he'd have him out there with a wig and a long evening gown, mowing the yard, right? So I got this idea, probably about 6 months ago, new friends and everything, buying houses and all that stuff. I said, why don't I, give them a little treat, man. I'll pay for their first, yard getting mowed for the first time. There's nobody really, move into a house, they don't have a lawnmower or anything like that. So I said, hey, bro, how about can I pay you ahead of time to go by and mow people's yards or whatever? And he said, yeah, bro, I reckon I can do that, bro. Just give me the address. And I was like, okay. Well, my girlfriend caught word of it that I was going to do that. And she's like, no way, that's not going to happen. I said, it'll be a great joke. She goes, what will the neighbors think? I said, who cares what the neighbors think? We got Elvis Presley mowing the yards. I said, that's great. So also a very unique thing for Tom, and knowing Tom is it's the first time anybody's ever refused having their lawn mowed. So, good to see you, Tom. I guess I got another story I thought I would share that I always thought was kind of funny. Tom was kind of a fan of talk radio. Not necessarily a fan. He liked to bitch at the guy on the radio. Loved to disagree with them a lot. And I didn't actually hear this, but another friend of mine did. He had called into the Craig Ferguson show. I think something around 600 or something. Anyway, they were having a discussion about passing a law to require all sex offenders to have a special license plate, I guess, to identify them as a sex offender. And Tom called in and rose the scenario, well, what if it's a hot teacher? Then you're going to have every horny teenage boy in Memphis following her home. Needless to say, they cut him off. And the guy replied, But he had to have a talk with his producer about screening calls. So anyway, that was just a little quick story I thought I'd share. For him doing that was pretty good. That was, to know Tom, that was him. Thank you.
Well, a lot of y'all already know me. I'm Shannon. I'm Alvin's bass player. That's how most people know me. But about 2 years ago, we'd met a promoter, and the promoter told us, you know, he was going to do all this stuff for us. And first thing he did is he gives us a gig over at the Double Deuce on Highland. It's supposed to be, you know, he's talking it up. It's going to be big. We get there, you know, we have our usual 8, 10, 12 people there, just like always. So Tom shows up. You know, we call Tom. Of course he shows up. He shows up every time you call him. That's just Tom. And he comes in, and he's got his new blue jeans on, and his, you know, his lambskin jacket that he always wore. And he turns around, and somebody goes, "Look, Tom still got all the tags on his jeans." Just walking around. So I'm thinking about it for a few minutes. I'm thinking, you know, how am I going to tell bro that he's walking around with his tags on his jeans without embarrassing him? You know? So I think about it for a little while. Eventually I just walk over there and I grab one and I rip it off. It turns around and just kind of gives me this funny look, you know. "Hey, bro."
You weak, Daddy?
So, you know, then I had to come on out and explain it to him. "Oh, you got the tags on your jeans, bro. You might want to get rid of those." You know, so he goes and he pulls them off and he comes back. So the time goes on and we get up on stage and we start playing, and we would do the thing, you know, where you play the jazz thing, and he gets up there and he does his rant, and he does Alvin Oliveira loves to play guitar, and, you know, and so we get through with the show, and the promoter guy comes over and he goes, "Hey, I didn't know that guy was in y'all's band." I said, "Well, he's not. He's just, you know, a good friend of ours." And he comes up and does this thing. He goes, "That was really great. That was just awesome." "Yeah, that's the cool cat, man. I mean, he's awesome." And so a couple of weeks go by, and then I don't hear anything from the promoter, so I call him back, and I'm like, "So what's up, man? You got another show for us? What's going on?" And the guy says, "Well, we don't know about you guys, but can you get that cool cat guy for me?"
Yeah, that's Tom. Yeah, baby.
I sure appreciate him letting me be his friend for, I guess, about 10 years or so. Thanks, y'all.
Well, I'm Chris Vescova, and Mick was right. He said everybody's got a Tom story. And here's mine. If anybody knew Tom, really, he was a big recycler, and he liked to save his money. And he's very smart about that. Well, one day, Alvin and I were either doing some work over at his house or something just over there, and I said, "Hey, bro, I want some milk." "Sure." So he pours us some milk. So he always had milk and Coca-Colas at his house. So we're drinking the milk, and we're talking for a while, and put it down, and after he kind of noticed, "Are y'all done with that?" "Sure." So he takes it and he pours it back into the apartment. And we just look at each other and we said, "Did we just drink that?" And remember, never drink milk at Tom's house again. So that's just fun. I love Tom. I'm glad he touched our lives and everyone around us. Is it?
The infamous Tom milk. I remember the first time I drank milk at Tom's. were eating breakfast, and after he offered me some milk, and then he offered me some chocolate for it in this can that looked like it was the original Hershey's can in 1922. But at the end of breakfast, lo and behold, there he pours it. So I never drank milk at Tom's again. But it did explain what all the brown stuff floating in the milk was. Toast crumbs. Another funny story, and I'm not going to leave here until Udo and Link, and there's a few others that got to get up here and tell their Tom story, because I know you're just being shy or whatever, but people would enjoy it, especially Tom. I was Tom's roommate, and he let me go there for free. I guess that's how Tom was. But I did have to split the groceries with him. So he would go grocery shopping while I was asleep. So he'd come home. He'd come home from grocery shopping. Bro, I've spent about $80. Your part's $40. So I'd give him $40. Later on, I'd get hungry and I'd go out to get something to eat, and there wouldn't. The guy had bought like 5 things of salt, the big salt things, 400 rolls of toilet paper, 600 rolls of paper towels, a loaf of bread, and about 8 things of peanut butter. So we had peanut butter for a couple of weeks for $40. That's the funny thing about Tom, he would buy in bulk. He had a stack of Cokes that the rest of us could drink Cokes the rest of our lives. But, all right. I'm not going to get up here anymore. The rest of you people got to get up here and share a new Tom story, okay? Rachel, I know you have a Tom story. I know Link has one. I know Eben and Terry have a Tom story. Nick has a Tom story. So get up here and share your Tom story.
I'm assuming we can cuss. This is about Tom, right? His poetry, great. I don't know no good hoes, but I know a lot of assholes. That was Tom. Actually, that was Calvin Badmother. But everybody said that he left a smile on everybody's face. There was a couple people that he didn't leave a smile on their face. That was usually the girl's boyfriend, as he was doing Rico Suave all up in her face at the bar. One story was, we're at his house, we're practicing, and he had a flea infestation, and Tom always wore really short pants. I'm sure everybody's seen that. So we're sitting on the couch, drinking beers, doing whatever we're doing, and there's a can of Raid, and Tom makes a protective barrier around it with the Raid on the floor. And if that wasn't bad enough, I looked over and this motherfucker's putting it on his legs. I'm sure a couple characters came from that one. But anyway, thank you, Tom, for letting me know you, and God bless.
All right, I'm going to share another story then. And I want somebody else to come up here and give us a fresh one. This incident happened a year ago, probably about 2 weeks after the shoe story. I had to get some posters printed up for an event we had coming up, and I used the print shop of the U of M campus. A lot of buildings on the U of M campus. So one time when me and Tom were out, I decided, hey, while we're swinging by here, let's go get these posters. And you wait in the car, I'm going to run in there. Now, the way U of M is set up, there was a parking lot and several buildings all over the place. So I had to go through a parking garage and to the print shop. And needless to say, when I got there, they weren't ready and they had me waiting for about a good 15 minutes. And so when you tell Tom you're going to be right back and you take 15 minutes, he did not like that. So apparently, when I get done and pick up my posters and go outside, I noticed Tom is stuffed in the back of campus police car. And there's a group of people standing around. And I'm like, what are y'all doing? What are you, why is Tom in there? It's like, hold on, sir, we'll get to you in a minute. It's like, no, being kind of cad. So apparently what Tom had done was after probably after 5 minutes of waiting on me, he decided to go find me. And like I said, U of M is set up with many different buildings everywhere. So the print shop's in the building where the bookstore is. But right next door to that building is Campus Elementary. So guess which building Tom wanders in, all upset, looking for me, wearing his infamous uneven cut lawn cutting shorts. Apparently the principal kind of got a little snappy with him, and that got on Tom's nerve. And according to the police, which got them concerned, is he did a karate stick to him. And they thought he was a security risk. Needless to say, after a little bit of explaining, they let Tom go. And I always felt bad about that. I almost got Tom arrested, but luckily it worked out. Thank you.
Tom Smith, lawnmower man. I have a small business, and I try not to mix business with pleasure. To me, the reason I like Tom is because he would rub the kitty cat the other way. All y'all's stories are very nice. So I invite the manager of a large customer to come to one of our shows. Mick had asked me, he goes, "You mind if Tom comes and tells a few poems?" Of course, I love Tom from the start. He's hilarious. So sure, let him come up. This is when he started to get comfortable 2 or 3 shows later. The manager brings his wife with him. And I'm not going to say which character it was because it's irrelevant, but she instantly says, "I'm finna kick his ass." And I don't know why she got so upset, but I had to say, "Please don't." And that's what I loved about Tom, is no matter what it was, he was going to put it out there. And the last Fluorescent Butt show that I saw was the most fun I've had in 10 years. Thank you.
Then curled myself for the occasion.
Met Tom years ago, but never really got a chance to know him until the last 5 months. I worked for him sometimes, really just to whistle while you work, have something to do because it was fun to hang out with him. First time I walked in his house, I felt like I had been there forever. He made you feel so welcome and gives you a big hug and a kiss and "How you doing, darling?" as if I had just seen him the day before. And something he got me back into was doing Tai Chi and Reiki and the Healing Center, the Open Heart Center, and I'm so glad I got to meet all of you people too and have this whole new part of my life along with all the musicians that were friends of his as well. But Tom taught me a lot in those 5 months about not letting things bother you and being childlike and being kind and loving every moment of your life. And one of the last things he said to me was to continue on my journey and to make it a good one, and for all of us to do the same, because we are all one. And I feel Tom with us here now, because we're one. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for everything that he brought to this world and to all of our lives. Thank you, Tom.
She thought she was finished. But there's a gas pump story you have to hear.
Okay. One of the many stories when you're out cutting lawns, as anyone who's gone with him knows. We pull over to get gas one day, and we're in front of the pump, and he's filling up lawnmower gas and the truck at the same time. And Tom's leaning over the gas can smoking. And the people on the other side of us just looked at it. One of the guys cussed him and drove off. And I asked Tom to pull up, and he did. But of course, he's still smoking, and the whole time he's going, "What am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? Why is everybody yelling at me the whole time?" Eventually, we got him to
Secret history, no doubt.
and we did get gas, and we didn't blow up. But from then on, I always made sure that Tom pulled up and rolled the windows up, getting gas after that. So, thank you once again, Tom, for all the awesome.
That story better. That other one was bumming me out, dude. It's funny that she's telling the cigarette story. She shows Tom smoking a cigarette. I'm surprised that ain't a cigarette in his hand. The guy smoked some cigarettes. There he is, writing his name in the snow. He had some pretty eyes. And there he is glowing. That's the Tom I remember, just glowing. You walk in the room and he was glowing just like that. And there he is talking too much. Hear that or stalking. Yeah, I think we need to change a diaper in that picture. I like the person who centered that one. Oh, we could go on for days like this, but I won't bore you. I'd like everyone to know that we are going to do another tribute to Tom at Murphy's Bar, and we're going to have all his friends come out who are in bands and get up and play a few songs. Tom had so many songs that he loved, and we're going to get up and try to send them off good in the band way. But look at that, it's right out of the 70s. He played a lot of baseball. And wore a lot of jock straps. The guy owned more jock straps than anyone I've ever met. So, we got a few more minutes, so if anybody want to get up here and tell another Tom story, we'd love to hear them, because they are very funny, and it makes us feel good about getting together here. And it sends a good vibe out to Tom. That's something he was always calling me. "Bro, send me a good vibe. I'm going to go," whatever it was that day. "Send me a good vibe." So, I'm sending good vibes, bro. Murphy's Day, we're going to start working on. Look, our goal, it was very hard to get Tom out of the morgue and down here. So that was the first goal, and we've done that, and now we get to go put his ashes on his mantelpiece. Anybody who knew Tom knows his safety zone was that living room. So we're going to put his ashes there he is holding himself. Must be working up his Calvin impression even at a young age. Tom was one of a kind. I could sit here and watch these pictures forever and ever and ever. It's so many memories in this guy. And he never changed. I mean, that's how he looked. Big head, the whole 9 yards. He finally did grow into his head. He used to complain that when he played baseball, they didn't have a batting helmet that would fit his head. There he is being the cool cat, sharing his groovy vibes with the cool tribes. There he is as a penguin. All right, so Link, you gonna get up and tell a story? Bubba John? I'll tell a Bubba John story. Oh, here we go, Alvin. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, Alvin Olvera.
I was just back here thinking, and I was thinking about when Tom used to meditate. And he'd be sitting at home, and he would say, "Well, I want you to meditate with me, bro." So he's sitting there, and he's doing the serenes, and he's 1, 2, 3, 4, and the phone rings. And it rings again, he picks up the phone. "I'm trying to meditate." I love Tom. That's the only thing I can think of. I love you, bro. I remember when we had thousands thousands of times. Every time we played a gig, we call him up, say, hey, you gotta come down and do the Cool Cat. So he come down and do the Cool Cat. And Tom, we love you. Thank you.
What's my name? Thank you very much. Along with the meditation stories that Alvin just mentioned, I lived with Frank one day, and it came up an emergency. I had to call Frank. It was on a Tuesday. One of Tom's extreme things was, don't come to my door, don't call me on Tuesdays. I went, damn it, I have to. So I call him up. Damn it, Anger. I told you don't call me on Tuesdays. I said, where's Frank? You seen him? No. And as private as his Tuesday was, he proceeded to talk to me for an hour. He would not let me off the phone. Another thing, talking about the lawn care service, at the time I was living with Frank. And Frank came up with the idea, or Tom came up with the idea, tell Anger if he wants some extra work, come and work with us. So we've been working all day, and we finally get to our final yard. And me and Frank, we just had it. We were at some old lady's yard. And he had the front, and I had the back, a huge backyard, just sweating. And all of a sudden, Frank gets finished, helps on the backyard. And he goes, where in the hell is Tom? So we go around the front. We hadn't seen him about half an hour. Go around the front. He's sitting on the front step of this old lady's house, trying to light the tiniest roach I've ever seen. Frank goes, what the hell are you doing? I go, we hadn't seen you do any work in a half an hour and stuff. Oh hell, that's all I got Anger here. I reckon so.
Thank you, Angerhead. I've known Angerhead a long time. I've known him, back when I met him, he was peeved cranium. So he's come a real long way. Dave Conley. Dave Conley was in a band with Tom for a long time, and I know he has 50 zillion stories, and you better get up here and tell one. I'm gonna go hit on his wife, Stacy. I'm gonna do a Rico Suave dance for Stacy if you don't get up here. Dave Conley.
Well, I was in Butt Jam with Tom. I took Guido's place, so it makes sense that I come up here after him today. Yeah, I mean, I was trying to pick through. There's a million stories. I was just trying to pick one, and I just thought of this. The way Tom shopped in bulk, he had. We were practicing at his house, and he, for whatever reason, bought about $7,000 worth of supplies to make strawberry shortcakes. And he never asked anybody if they wanted any either. But so we were practicing, and he got up and he started making him one. I guess we were just taking a break or whatever. So he made one, and I walked in, around the corner, and I saw him in there making it, and he had all the stuff out on his table. So he started putting stuff away, and so I timed it. So as soon as he got the biggest bulk of stuff to turn away, and I knew he was going to have his back away for a while, I grabbed his strawberry shortcake he just made and brought it into the band room and just set it on like a speaker. And I told everybody in the band, and nobody said a word. And then Tom didn't come out of the kitchen. We didn't hear, anything. And then he came out about 5 minutes later and had a strawberry shortcake. And everybody was just watching him, and he just sat there and ate it, And he got up to take his dishes back to the kitchen, so I followed right behind him. like that with the other strawberry shortcake. He got in the kitchen and stuck, did his thing. And I put it right back on the table exactly where it was. And I ran back in the band room and everybody's, And we didn't hear anything. And then he walked in like 2 minutes later eating that strawberry shortcake. He never even, like nothing ever happened, It just vanished and came back to see him or whatever. And then finally somebody said something and he goes, "Well, I just figured out, whatever." It was I was in the band about 5 months before I could really understand anything he said. But Frank said, "Well, I could eat that, bro." "No, you're not eating my strawberry shortcake." Anyway, Tom never stayed mad at, anybody in the band for very long. There's a lot of practical jokes, and guy's a great guy. He's a great guy. He used to, after I left the band for about 7 years until my phone number changed, he would call me every Christmas and just tell me, wish me and my wife Stacy Merry Christmas and all that. I quit the band at one point because I got saved, and we had probably about 4 more gigs booked to play. And one day I got to practice a little early, and Tom sat down with me and started talking to me about that. And he was telling me he was really proud of me, and it just blew my mind. I wouldn't think, from hearing everybody talk today, I don't think there's anything Tom didn't dip his toe in, religion-wise or anything like that. So I didn't know when I got here whether or not Tom believed in God, but I really think he really did. And it's important. I thought about Tom, the day that it happened. I thought about what I hoped was that he got done taking his shower, started walking to his bedroom to put on whatever, and was dead before he hit the ground. You just don't want to think about. Tom was so awesome. You just don't want to think about him suffering. You don't want to think about it taking any amount of time that he had to lay there and suffer. I don't think he did. I refuse to believe he did.
I was always in a hurry.
Yeah, that's right. He really was. Gosh, so many stories though. He used to throw a paper. Most of the time he would. He would always leave to do it. But there are plenty of dumpsters around Memphis that had were full of perfectly good Memphis shoppers that he just didn't want to throw out. I hope his old boss didn't hear that. Man, there's just so much stuff.
I remember one time his truck was working and we delivered those papers to my 56 Buick, pink and white.
Sweet.
Yeah, right. One time.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Somebody told a story about his car alarm. It reminded me of one time we did a gig in Little Rock. And we were coming back, and this is how tight, this just really should show you how tight-knit Fluorescent Butt Jam was. We really were a family. We were coming back, and we had to stop to get gas, and everybody needed something to drink and go to the bathroom and all that. And Rhonda was in the band. Rhonda gets out of the car. They gave us, when we played this gig, they gave us probably $200 worth of beer when we were leaving. We had it all packed up in the U-Haul. And I think that's the trip you forgot the U-Haul, too.
Yeah.
So Rhonda gets out of the car and takes a beer and just, empties it. And then goes into the store, and we didn't know we were in a dry county. But the people in the store sure knew it was dry county, so they called the police. And my brothers in Butt Jam, the cops showed up, and they abandoned me. So I walked out of the store carrying a Coke and stuff, and I get halfway in the parking lot, and cop cars go down on me. And I'm looking around for the other car that pretty much everybody else in the band was in. It was just gone. And I was like, oh, great. So they said, so have you been drinking beer? I said, yeah, about 8 hours ago in Little Rock. And they said, well, the store said somebody in this was with you, got out and was drinking a beer. Where are they at? And I was like, that's a good question. I don't know. Tom was with me, and Frank was with me. And Frank rode in the truck with me. Tom rode in the back of the truck with me. So the police are talking to me, and I had the keys to the truck. And they're talking the whole time, and I'm going, man, please, just don't say anything, Frank. Because Frank has always, as far as long as I've known him, have a real interesting relationship with the police. So I just kept thinking, man, I hope Frank doesn't say, you can't do that, or whatever, you know. Because at that point, they could do anything they wanted, and all the money, the only thing I could think of was, all the money we just made, I'm going to have to go bail everybody in the band out. You know? But anyway, that alarm kept going off. You know, they're talking to me, and I'm like, yeah, and I'm like, okay, they're going to let us go. And it just happened like every 3 seconds, and Tom was the only one that knew whatever magic combination of buttons to press on that thing to make it quit doing it. Anyway, I could go on all night, but I ain't gonna. So, thank you.
Anybody else? You want to say something else? This is a true story. This came out of Tom's mouth. One time he comes home from his paper route. He's got like 3 sacks full of Shoppers News. He just dumps them inside of his house. I'm like, bro, what's up with all those sacks of papers? And this is what he actually said. I find if I bring a few sacks home, it tends to make my route shorter.
On Tom's last day on this earth, this adventure, I think it was a really happy day for him. And he went to Tai Chi that day. He was feeling great. We danced together, and he was smiling when I left. It's the last memory that I have of him. It's the memory I want to keep. And I see how he's affected everybody's lives here as I look out at all your smiles and all the awesome, funny stories, and just how he's touched us all. And just pray that we can all live up to the non-judgmental and just unique way that Tom lived his life.
So you're meditating.
I just wanted to let everybody know when we leave from here, we'll be taking Tom's urn to his house to put it back in what Mick would call his comfort zone. And I just wanted to let anyone know if they wanted to come by Tom's house or something like that, you know, and visit with us there in his home or something like that. Welcome to join us there. Probably give us a few minutes to get there and get everything wrapped up here, but I wanted to let everybody know that. Thank you.
I'll probably remember that forever, you know.
I'd also like to thank Chris Leak for all the putting this together. Chris did a hell of a job. And also, if you go to YouTube and you look up Tom Smith's Cosmic Trigger, there's something that Chris put up. It's really beautiful. It's a song a friend of ours, Bedwin, wrote or rewrote. He kind of did a Elton John Lady Di thing. Redid a song in tribute to Tom, and he's got a bunch of Tom's pictures on there. And then at the end, it's really cool. It's like you can actually see, it's like he's recreated Tom's soul leaving his house and going into the cosmos.
Say it again, Tom Smith. What?
It's Tom Smith, ... Because YouTube is picky about putting everything in there. So it's Tom Smith, ... Cosmic Trigger. It's beautiful. Every time I see it, I tear up. And I didn't even like Tom that much. It was a beautiful tribute. Anyways, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out and sharing your stories. And I've heard most of them or experienced the same stuff y'all did. It's funny. It's that we could all share in the same experiences, and some of us never even met. So I'd like to thank Frank for all his help in putting this together, and Chris. I'd like to thank Kim for helping with the pictures. And I'd like to thank Tom for being my true closest friend over the last 20 years. Thanks, everyone.